Hey, we're Maseches Shabbos, Amud Yom Yevdirshu. So we're still in the very bottom of Yud Beis Amud Beis, right? That's where we are. Yud Beis Amud Beis. Okay, the very bottom over here. Yes. Be'emes Amru Hachazan. So we said in the Mishnah, Be'emes, when the Mishnah says Be'emes, it means that it's agreed upon everybody, or that it's some say halachah shemisina, which does make sense because it's it's the rabbanon. It means that it's agreed upon all. That's be'emes omu. Everyone agrees to it. Okay. Be'emes omu chazan. So what did we say? We said that the chazan is the person who is one of two things: either the malamet tinoikes, or the chazan is the person who's like the gabbai, the person who takes care of the kriya. He's not the bal korah, but he's the one who is the he's the one who helps the Baal Koira or the Kruim, the seven Kruim, each one reads on his own. He helps them by showing them, like the guys standing in the side, making all the signs. So this guy, what does he do? He's allowed to look where the Tinoikis read. The Tinoikis back then, it's not from Rashi and the Mishnah. I'm quoting Rashi from the Mishnah all the time. Rashi and the Mishnah says that they used to, like the Belzer Hasidim do today, they do the Chumash learning, maybe other Hasidim as well. I don't know. I just know from my nephews that they learned every parsha. They learn the Chumash learning is the parsha. That's what they learn. The Chumash is the weekly parsha, and every year they advance. Yeah. So basically, how would the Chazan know what parsha is it this week? He would look at the Tinoikas, see what they're learning, and then he would know which parsha it is. That's how it goes. Yeah, that's how he would know the parsha through looking at the babies, seeing that they are koirim. So it says the Chazan, cannot only sees what they read. Le'oraner, what's the issue? That they're reading by the light of the candle on Shabbos, right? Leil Shabbos, the Tinokas are in shul. They're sitting and learning the parsha, and the Chazan oversees them. He looks at what they learn, and that reminds him of the parsha, but he doesn't properly read with them. He just sees the Rosh Prokim, the parsha, and there's no chashash it's going to come to tilt the candle. Why shouldn't you read on Shabbos from the Torah by the light of the candle? You may come to tilt it. Here he only sees what they read, and that's okay. So now, Frek the Gemara v'amata reisha roye. Yeah, you see, in the reisha says that he does see, sees mashma that he sees properly. He sees exactly what they read. He sees it well. My love likrois. Yeah, doesn't mean that he sees, meaning that he reads what the reading. Isn't it all one and the same? And says the Gemara, lo l'sad rosh parshiyosov. In other words, he does not read the entire parsha. He doesn't read the entire parsha with them. He just sees the Rosh Prokim. Every once in a while, he already gets reminded, by seeing a word here, a word there, and that's okay to do L'oraner. Let's read Rashi inside. Rosh Prokim, the last Rashi in the page, Umeritzan befiv. He starts seeing a word or two, the Rosh Parsha, and then he already has it, running through his mouth. Then he already knows it balpeh. Shemitoch Rosh Parsha shgur befiv. Since the beginning, let's Hazinu. That reminds him he's already a seasoned Balkoira or helper of Balkoira. He just gets the beginning, then he remembers the whole parsha tomorrow. Then he can help the Shiva Kruim who read the parsha properly. He helps them whispering and making the signs. He can do that. The kids are what we learn from here. Aloha, again, not aloha lemaisa, but conceptually, I do know that's aloha. One can see Rosh Prokim in a text le'oraner. For example, a text like this guy knows how to read. This is a Bal Koira. So let's say you're Birkas Hamazon. Yeah, most of us know Birkas Hamazon Bal Peh. Let's say you still want to bench. First of all, it's much better to do it from the bench of Stamazoi. Much better halachically. It's a big school for Parnoso to bench from the Birkon, from the bencher. But also, some texts that you're very familiar with, you can do L'oraner because you're not so nervous about not seeing a word or two because you know most of it. Even if you miss a few words in Birkas Hamazon, you're not going to get all lost. Yeah, it's not a kruvatz or something from I don't know what Chanukah Shechal B'Yom Kippur or something. Yeah? It's just it's a Birkas Hamazon that you're all familiar with. So a word here, a word there is okay. You're not going to get too nervous about it. Yeah, in Yom Kippur it says on Aloha in Yom Kippur you're allowed to read L'oraner even though the Machzor is not so familiar with all the Piyutim of Yom Kippur because Yom Kippur have Emas Yom Adin Alecha. You're not going to tilt the candle. Because Yom Kippur is Yom Adin, maybe even Rosh Hashanah, I'm not sure. Yom Kippur for sure. Yeah, so then you won't come to. That's why they had a small candle by each. Some shuls in Europe, the ancient ones, you see they had a small candle by each seat. And they said it was for Yom Kippur. That's so I've heard. Okay, so now v'chen Omar, back to the Gemara. Sorry. V'chen Amar Rabbi Bar Shmuel, aval misader uresha parshiyos. Yeah, only to be misader, to organize in his mind the Rosh Parshiyos, the beginning of the parsha, that he is allowed to do. Preg the Gemara v'kula parsha loy. Are you sure he's not allowed to read the entire parsha to the light of the candle? Yeah, Meisivi. Yeah, or maybe it's a continuation of what we said before. In any event, there is a Meisivi now. There's a question. It says, Rashbag Oimer, Shingol Oimer, Atinoka Shebeis Rabban, Misadin Parshiyos v'Koran Oraner. These kids, what are they? Are they goyim? These kids themselves, they're Misader Parsha, v'Koran Oraner. They do more than Misader the Parsha. They Misader and they read the entire Parsha Oraner. Did you think about them? He may only be following them a bit here, a here. But the kids themselves, what about them? Don't you say that they read the whole thing? How can they do that without, maybe they'll tilt the candle? Zog the Gemara, two answers. In other words, no. Maybe the Tinoikus also, they are misadrim the Rosh Parshiyos. Misadrim Parshiyos doesn't mean the whole Parsha, only the Rosh Parshiyos. And the kids also, they just read here and there. Then they're doing a weekly chazara on Amud Yomi. Yeah, they just need to do here and there bits and pieces, but they're not properly doing the whole kriya. An alternative teretz, different teretz. Shani tinoikos. Tinoikos are different to adults. Why are kids different to adults? The tinoikos, the fear of the Rebbe is upon them. That was in the good old days, yeah? They're so scared of the Rebbe, Rashi says, "And even during the week, they won't dare doing anything and start touching and moving and tilting. They won't move without the permission of the Rebbe." So, funnily enough, they're a little bit like the Adam Choshuv, right? And Adam Choshuv, we said yesterday, never tilts the candle. Sunday through Friday, there's no Chash and Shabbos. So, as the Tinoikas, the Gzera was never imposed on such people who never ever tilt the candle, such as the Tinoikas, that's what they're allowed. But the Rebbe himself, he may allow himself, yes, to do it. And therefore, Taka, is not allowed to read Lo Oraner, only Rosh Parshiyos. Oh, now we came to a whole different Indian completely, nothing to do with Shabbos. We're preparing ourselves for Boisai, according to some Rishonim. This is another Gzera from, we'll see tomorrow, starting a big Sugya, of the 18 Gzeros that were Nigzar by the time of Shammai, B'Sam, and B'Silel. We're going to discuss tomorrow a whole big historic event went on there. There were 18 Gzeros that were decreed in the time, good Gzeros of Chazal, not decree of the Romans. Yeah, Gzeros Chazal that were decreed by Beth Shammai, and they forced B'Silel to agree to them. Yeah. That was it. And according to some Rishonim, one of those Gzeros is what we saw in the Mishnah. What did we see in the Mishnah? The Mishnah said, similarly, Lo yochel azav im azava. Azav is a person who's tome, right? And also it's hard for him to do tashmish. And azava is like not niddah, but a similar situation to niddah. She's tome, tme'ah, and also tashmish, not so good for her. And yet, the made gzera not to eat together. The zav and zava, married couple, she's tome and he's tome. And still, the made gzera not to eat together, because they may come from eating, one thing will lead to the other, they'll end up doing an avera. This is a source for today. Yeah, when your wife is niddah, and you have whatever, lunch or supper with her alone, you have to have something on the table, to have some kind of hefsek to remind yourself that she's niddah. So that is the source. One of the main sources of harchakos we're going to learn from this sugya. Yeah? So now let's see how it goes. Tanya, says the Braisa, Bezras Hashem Nasiv and Atzliach, Rab Shimon ben Lozer Oimer, Rab Shimon Lozer says, Bo adechen potzot har b'Yisrael. Go and see how common Tahara became B'Yisrael. It became so popular, so with it, to behave B'Tahara in Klal Yisrael. Now Rashi says, Parza is not a bad thing, like Parza Milchama, Parza Milchama. Parza is like Paratzayim of a Kedma. It's good. It became so popular, so common, that people keep B'Tahara. Let me just remind everybody here, I'm sure you know, but I'm just yet. Me'ikradin, if a person can be Tomeh all day long, most of the year, right? As long as I don't go to Beis HaMikdash, I don't eat kochim, I'm regular Yisrael, I live in Bet Shemesh, right? And I don't have to be Tohar. There's no Isser for me if I touch the dead, I'm not a Kohen. Yeah, to touch a dead person, to touch a dead rodent, to touch, not to touch my wife, niddah, whatever, but yeah. to become Tomeh, Maker Din, there's no problem. When can't you be Tomeh? When you eat Kochim, when you go to Beis HaMikdash, when you eat Meiser, Shenim, when you don't do that, it can be Tomeh. However, in the times of Chazal, the Frum people, the Chaverim, they were always Makbid on Tahara, to be Tor all the time. They would be Tor all the time, even if they don't have to. Yeah, if you are Tor, you were considered as a Chaver, a member of the proper Frum community, and Amiratzim would not, that's important to know already now, we're going to see it later, Ameharotzas, Amiratzim wouldn't care about Tuma. Amiratzim would celebrate Pesach, the traditional Passover night. So then they would become Tohor. Parshas Poro. Why are we about to read Parshas Poro? That's the idea, because before Pesach, they all become Tohor. That's even the people, such a tiny kippah, they barely are Frum, even they, on Pesach, they become Tohor. Right? But if you're a Chaver, you Tohor throughout the year. Okay? Comes Rabbi Shimon Lazar and he comments, a social commentary, Kivyochol, halachic, and he says, look, everyone became so Tohor. Why? The Mishnah could have told me exactly the same message by saying what? A Tohor and a Tmeah. A man who's Tohor and his wife Tmeah, niddah or zova, are not allowed to eat together. To do tashmish. Who cares if he's Tohor and Tameh? If I'm Tor and my wife is niddah and we have a nice lunch, laughing, talking, eating, we may come to do stuff. So why did the Mishnah say the zav imazova, ma kesher? Why zav and zava? You know why? You know why? Because the Tohor and Tmeah anyhow wouldn't eat together. Why? You have to remember, nowadays we think niddah, we think, oh, don't be too attracted to your wife. Well, she's niddah, you may come to touch me, and it's true. Back then there was another issue of tuma. A dead rodent is not attractive. You're not allowed to touch it if you're a chaver because of tuma. So, mimela, there was no situation of a Tor eating with a niddah or zava because he will not become tomei. If you eat from her kalim and she passes you stuff, you may come to touch her, you'll become tomei. Mimela, a tohor would not eat with a tmeah. You know who would have a nice lunch, nice and friendly with his wife when she's niddah or zava? Himself zav, because anyhow both tomei. They're both in the same boat, right? People then, a Tmeah, would have a tent for herself, a house for herself, a niddah. Because they don't want their wives niddah to touch their food. That's the way it was. Similar to that, lo yoichal zav porush im zav ha'ma'oretz. Oh, there are two people who are Tmeim because they're zav. One is the porush. What does the porush do? Porush doesn't eat betuma usually. But now the porush is a zav. He's anyhow zav. He's anyhow everything is tomeh. And even when he's zav, the Porush, the Frum guy, the religious guy, doesn't eat with the Zav HaMa'oretz. Why? Shemer Gilenu Etzloi. Because he may come to be Malgil Etzloi, he may become too friendly with HaMa'oretz, and then, Frank the Gemara, what's the problem? So what? They're both Tomei. What's your chashash? You may come to eat with HaMa'oretz, and then you'll be eating more with HaMa'oretz. What's Margil? Making use to eating more with him. So what? I'm Tomei now, I'm Tomei tomorrow, Tomei 3 days later down the line. So what's the problem if me, the Chosid, the Chaver, eats with Amaretz? Ela Ema must be Shema Yachilenu Dvorim Tmein. Doesn't mean shrimps or chazir. Dvorim Tmein means what? The Am HaOretz may feed him food that's Tomei. Kosher lemahadrin bedatz cheese, kosher lemahadrin bedatz bread, but Tomei. The Zav touched it, so that's why the Zav Chaver, the Frum Zav, shouldn't be with the Zav HaMa'oretz, lest he comes to eat Dvorim Tmeim that are not Tor. What was that answer? Atu, at the end of the day, Zav Porush lav Dvorim Tmeim Ochil. He's in the Zav Porush, anyhow eating Dvorim Tmeim. He's Tomei, for heaven's sake. Even he himself, anything that he takes to his mouth is Tomei. Anything he touches is Tomei. So what do you mean? Because of a Ma'oretz, we'll give him Tmeim? Everything's Tomei at the table. It's Tumaland. Who cares that he has a black kippah on his head and the other one doesn't? Yeah. Omar Abaye, answers Abaye. Oh, that's a second tchum, the second area in halacha, which is always mentioned as a difference between Amaratim and Talmidei Chachamim is what? Meiser. Which means, now that the Zav Amaoretz and the Zav Chaver are together, we don't care. Because what? They eat what? They eat Dvorim Tmeim. So they can eat together. But you know what? The Zav is going to offer the Zav Amaoretz will offer the Chaver something which wasn't meised properly. And although we say Rov Amaretz, okay, that's Rov already, but Rabbi is concerned that even though most Amaratzim take Meiser, yeah, but because Miut Amaratzim don't take Meiser, The Rav Abai says there's a chashash because there's miut shachiach. Tosfos says it was quite a common, large minority of Am Ha'arotzos would not take Meiser properly. Would take Truma, but not Meiser. Truma they're scared of because it's Chiyuv Misa. But Meiser, Risho, and Meiser Sheni, they would, glitch over. Chafif niktim they were. Yeah, they were like, do as they do as you want. Light. They would be. And then what? They wouldn't take Meiser. And says Abaye, I'm concerned, nothing to do with Tuma. You get two buddy with an Oret, what's going to be? He's going to feed you what? Not the Meiser, nothing to do with Tuma. It's a problem eating without Meiser. Rove Omar, the Rove says, no, as we said. Rove said, Rove me'aretz masrinen. Rove says, no, I'm not concerned about what? About Meiser. I rely on the Rove. In other words, it's too much of a Gzera. It could be even Gzera like Gzera. At the end of the day, right now, most of Meratzim, what do? They take Meiser. So I wouldn't tell the Zav Talmid Chacham or Chaver not to the Zav Ma'oretz because maybe he belongs to the minority that don't take Meiser. That's not enough of a reason to completely ban the friendship, so to speak, between Amoritz and Chaver. Yeah, well, Zavim. Ela, so what is it concerned? Shema Yarogil Etzloi ve'achilenu dvon tmein b'meta rosoi. Think of next week, Mister, says Rove. This week you're both Tome. That's temporary. Next week, what's going to be? How much is a Zav? At best, if you learn the Gemara during Friday Shabbos, a Zav that saw 3 times has to count Shiva Nakim. Shiva Nakim is not only for men, or not only for women, is also for men originally. Shiva Nakim, next week, the Zav is going to go to Mikveh, bring a korban if he saw 3 times, be Tahor, B'chaver, and he'll not Titome anymore. What about the Amoretz? He'll stay Beziva, doesn't care. What's going to be then? They became buddy. They became friendly. And the Amoretz is an amazing cook. So then the Talmid Chacham, the Chaver, will come and stay, prolong the friendship, even during the time of Tahara of the Tahar and Tum of the Amoretz, and that's a concern. Iboilehu. Here we come to very Nogel Alocha things again. As I told you about 500 times already, I think it's not halacha shir. You get halachic ideas. I would appreciate if you pass me the bottle, please. Please take water. I mean, I'm the first one of hopefully many people. Yeah. Iboilehu. Hopefully I'm tohar. I don't know. הפוך, תרומה הם תורמים, ומעשרות הם רובם מעשרים, תרומה רובם תורמים, או אפילו כולם, אבל מעשרות הם רובם מעשרים, אבל מיעוט גדול לא מעשרים. כן, תרומה לא אכפת להם, כי מותר בעיקר הדין, לא אכפת להם להיות תמימים כל הזמן, כל עוד לא בנו מבית המקדש, או לא אוכלים קודשים, הם נשארים בתרומה. כי הם עיקר הדין הם צודקים, אבל החברים כן הקפידו על זה. חברים הקפידו שכאשר, לא משנה מתי, כל השנה, כן, להיות כל הזמן במצב של טהרה, לא זיווה, לא נידה, כאילו הכל, אם נגע באמת, אז הוא מיד הולך שם פרה אדומה וזה. But Iboilu. Niddah, a niddah, a wife who's niddah, Mahu shetishanim baila hi bebigda ve'u bebigdoi. Can a niddah woman sleep in the same bed with her husband? She's fully dressed and he's fully dressed. The Rashi says already later that the normal way of a couple is to sleep without their clothes, and it's not so clear because Rashi quotes a pasuk about tashmish. The tashmish says to be without clothes. A man who wants to be mishamish with his clothes, so she can say, I don't want that, and he'll send her and give her ksuba. Yeah? She'er ksusa, and also she'er is she'er bosel with the flesh. So it's not so clear because this is lav dafka tashmish, but l'maisa, if the normal way to sleep was without any clothes, so to sleep with a cloth is considered as shinui. In other words, they're together in the bed, they may be touching each other, but they're not touching each other, actually, it's not true, they're not touching, there'll be another issue already. Each one is wearing his clothes. I would translate that today. Let's say they're in the bed with their clothes, mamish, with their day clothes, with their regular clothes. That's strange. You don't go to sleep with their clothes on. So the question is, can they be very close to each other in a way that should be maybe osir, right? It's really 2 questions. Are we creating a situation of harchakos, right? In other words, you're supposed to be far apart from your wife and don't sleep in the same bed with her. And secondly, if that is forbidden, do we say that if you wear the clothes, that's like a siman, like a something that symbolizes, some kind of like a mark that marks our harchakos? Is that good or not? And we're going to see how that develops, They sleep together, but having the clothes on, is that enough of like a herchek, like a siman ladova, a way to demarcate our harchakos? Amar Yosef, I'm telling you already now that this sugya, I'm preparing you now, this sugya is very one havamina builds towards the other one. It's the havaminas are not so clear. It's one thing leads into the other, and then you get the whole thing together. One second, both. We're going to compare now niddah to the isser of basa b'cholov. Everybody knows that if you put meat on the table, and you put cheese next to it, what's going to happen? You know, one thing next to the other without a special table mat, it's marriage hazard, right? Then, yeah, you're going to get on your head from your wife, and she's right. Yeah, in other words, yeah, no putting them together at the same table. The chashash will come to mix it. Amar v'yasef toshma ha'oif oili magvina ala shulchan. Chicken, which is only doraisa derabanan. What do you say? Derabanan. The chicken with the gvina on the same table, you're allowed to have chicken and cheese on the same table without any hecker, without any placemat. The eno nechal, but you're not allowed to eat the chicken with the thing, yeah, with the cheese. That's a chiddush. That divrei Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai say it's osur midarabanan. Our opinions are allowed. It's in the Mishnah, by the way. Chicken and cheese, we don't allow it. It's opinion in the Mishnah. It'll be somebody there in Chulin. But Shammai say it's not allowed, but to have them together, that's already too much. Only Durabanan, so it can be at the same table with no separate tablecloth, as long as you don't eat them together. The Sila lo imrim, lo oile velo nechal. The Sila say, no, you're not allowed to have it lo oile. It doesn't go up on the same table. Needless to say, you're not allowed to eat it. Oh, so what do you see? You see that you're not allowed to have. And now we're not talking about two people eating. You're eating alone, lunch, yeah, eating either meat or chicken or cheese. You're allowed to have the other one on the table, and there's no problem in that. According to Beit Shammai, Basilo say no. You're not allowed to have them. We follow Basilo, right? You're not allowed to have them on the same table. The meat, the chicken even, and the cheese. So what do we see regarding us? So the choir here too, but the husband and wife, it should be usher for them to be in the same bed. Just like over there, they can be on the same table. We made the harchakos. Here too, we made a harchakos. The question is very obvious that it's not the same, but leave the obvious question for later. Answers the Gemara, Shani Hosam Delekadeos. The Gemara says, well, it's different. Why is it different? Over there are no different opinions, meaning there are no other people. If it's just you, yourself, and the closed door, and you're eating some cheese, eating some, I don't know, meat, and then you really feel like eating some cheese, who's going to stop you? Hopefully, you're Shamayim. Shenken in bed, two people, hopefully one of them is Yiras Shamayim. If he will start something, she'll stop him, or vice versa. So maybe over here it's allowed. Yeah, maybe here it should be allowed to have it should not be allowed. Over there, again, Chosam, there are no days, that's why it's not allowed, right? It's not allowed, Basil say it's not allowed. Here, for the bed, it should be allowed, because one person, him or her, one second, okay, sorry. It makes sense also. It makes sense to say that when there are different people, then when there are different people, it's different. When there are two people, the law is different, and there's a reason to allow it, and I'll prove it to you from the following statement. Sorry, the Zoom is das acheres. Yeah. Diktani Seifa. In the Seifa of the same Mishnah, it says as follows. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, Shnei Achsanim, let's say you have two guests in the same hotel or in the same restaurant, yeah? Oichlin al shulchan echad, they both eat at the same table and they don't know each other. You're the stranger, in the same, hotel lobby or hotel table, and you are unfamiliar to each other. You're allowed to eat from the same table. One of them eats meat, the other one eats the cheese, and that's okay. So what do you see? You see when there are two opinions, there are two people, they are allowed to what? Do the potentially osur thing together. Why? Because one will remind the other, yeah, I will not take from your cheese because he said, excuse me, don't touch my cheese because you're having meat. Same thing, but the husband and wife. Correct the Gemara, that's not true. Belav Itmar Allah, didn't we learn over there? Omar Rav Chanin Bar Ami, Omar Shmuel, Lo Shanu L'Shein Makirin Zed Zeh. Aval Makirin Zed Zeh Asurim. Huge caveat. Over there, when the strangers, who allowed you to touch my cheese or touch my meat? Excuse me, you're a stranger. Well, what kind of uncouth behavior is that? So zicher, even if you have big Yetzer Hara, you're not going to touch the other person's food, and therefore what? Of course, you're allowed to have cheese and meat on the same table because they're two people as real harchakos of itself. Yeah, you never touch your other unless you're shugana. You're not going to touch the other person's food. Masha'en can if they know each other, if they're buddies, good friends, they go together on a trip, on a business trip, on a Torah trip together, and they both eat the cheese and chicken together at the table. They're not allowed, and that makes our story in the bed. So here with the husband and wife, hopefully, husband and wife know each other, and they may come to sin together. It's worse. It's making it worse. Yeah, just like with Achsanim, we say that even though they're two people, but they know each other, they can get buddy-buddy, the husband and wife, they can start whatever, right? And of course, the main question here wasn't yet asked, but that will be asked later, and that is what? But the cheese and the chicken, we didn't see any hefsek. But the bed, they both wear the clothes. That the Gemara is ignoring on purpose till the end. We built up the case first, and then we're going to hit it to the end. And now the Gemara is saying the main thing. Is that the same? What hachi hashta? Whenever we break a comparison in the Gemara, we say hachi hashta. Hachi hashta, hosom, over there with the cheese and chicken, deos ika shinui leika. Over there are two people who know each other. So it doesn't help me that the two people, they'll sin together, the two men who eat from the same table. There's no shinui. There's nothing to mark any difference here. Nothing here to make it look strange, and therefore it's not allowed. But over here, there are different people who may sin together and may what? And may dafka remind each other not to sin. Plus, there's a shinui. If he's wearing his kapite and she's wearing her shetel and dress, and they're in bed together, avada, that's very strange. And maybe then it is allowed. In other words, we did not yet paskin. Right now, we're still in a suffix. We tried to figure it out from the case of the cheese and chicken, and we're still in the dark. Why? Because it could very well be that a shinui does make, excuse the pun, a shinui make a difference. Yeah, the shinui, the fact that they're in their pajamas or their clothes, whatever is not normal for them, would be a reminder and would stop them from sinning. You don't know otherwise, so we still don't know. Ikadamri, some say the same sugya in a different way. Toshma, Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer, Shnei achsanim oichlin al shulchan echad. Yeah, two guests eat from the same table. Echad and what? Ze boso v'ze gvina. One eats meat and one eats the cheese. Boso and gvina. The itmar Allah, and we learned about. And itmar means something that Amoraim said. There's an Amoraic statement on that. Amar Chanin Barani Amar Shmuel Lo shonu. You know when that is allowed, but she'en mekirin ze et ze. They're only allowed to eat together when they don't know each other, because you're not gonna stick your hand in your friends, not your friends, your other guy's plate. You won't do that. Ava makiran zeh zeh also. If they know each other, it's also v'hani nami makiran zeh zeh ninhu. Over here too, the husband and wife. You see the two people. First wide line. You see the two people who know each other. Basically, I think the Pnei Yeshua says that, but maybe it's not. Somebody says that. It's always like a game here. There's a question. Will they remind each other? Will it be either each other's shoimrim, like the people reading by the Madura, or will they sin together? So, well, don't bring me a proof from over there. Why? Because over there, if anything, the proof is against what you're trying to say. Why? There we say two people, the two men who eat at the same table, if they know each other, they may come to share the food, cheese, chicken. Oh, even without realizing. I'm not talking about choitim. Without realizing, having my cheese, I have something to. Oh, it's meeting. Yeah. Mashain, right? So the same thing over here. Awesome. And therefore here too, there are the husband and wife, they know each other, they may come to sin if they lie in the same bed together. And then again comes the answer, no. Awesome, deus ika shinui leika. Again, no, you can't prove that either. You can't prove either way. Why? Because over there's deos and there is no shinui leika. They eat at the table. There's no placemat. This is the source, by the way, my friends. I mean, it's not the only source. You know, it's in Chulin. Here's one of the sources. That when you have, it happens many times, right? Everyone eats chicken, and the spoiled child wants to have his cereal and milk or ice cream he got from Cheder. So what? So then you put a placemat and placemat, not mate, right? Placemat, yeah. It's a mate for whatever. It's our friend, yeah. The placemat for what? For the one who's eating the milk. That's the source. But by the bed, maybe it's okay. Because then when they lie together and they have a shinu of being dressed, that may be allowed. We don't know, but that's what we're heading towards, although that's not the maskana. Toshma, here we're trying to bring another proof from our very own Mishnah. What did we see in our very own Mishnah? Lo yochel zav im azava mishum ergel avera. Oh, you see a zav and a zava, two people, man and woman married and everything, and they're both tome. Even though the tome and the tashmish is hard for them, they shouldn't eat together because of hergel avera. They'll end up with an avera. So you see what? They can't even eat together, let alone be in the same bed together. Says the Gemara, you can't prove any isser from there. Achinami, here too, it's not the same. Deos ika shinu ileika. Over there, but the Zav and the Zava, there's no shinu at the table. Oh, what do you see from here? From this point of the Gemara, we can learn what we do nowadays, right? Shinu ileika, but the Zav and Zava, there's no change, meaning there's nothing that shows any hefsek. Mashma, that if there was hefsek at the table, yeah, they put something on the table, they put the phone, they put the key, they put something, a piece of bread, which nobody's going to eat at the table, that is good enough to be the hefsek, right? But when you, so possibly here too, with a bed, when they're both in the clothes, maybe it's okay. Toshma, here comes the final maskana of, by the way, Rav Yosef. Up until now, the entire time, it's Rav Yosef talking. We didn't realize it maybe, but Rav Yosef is the one who appeared at the beginning of the sugya, and according to Rashi, he's the one dealing with the sugya back and forth. He's the one narrating the sugya all the way. And here comes the maskana from a pasuk in the Nach. Toshma. It says in Yecheskel, the pasuk in Yecheskel describes a tzaddik, a righteous man. Elohoim lo ochal, a person did not eat from the mountains. What does it mean? The person has his own zchus. Who are the horim? The fathers. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are called fathers always, are called the mountains, the horim. He doesn't have to be misparnes b'schus. The Avos has his own schus. Big tzaddik has his own schus. That's a very big tzaddik, yeah? The ein of loinosav gilul beis Yisrael. He doesn't lift his eyes towards avodah zara. What else? Ves eshes re'eu lo time. Oh, he did not defile, did not make impure eshes re'eu. Didn't have anything to do with his friend's wife. Vel isha niddah lo yikrav. He did not go near, did not get close. Then isha niddah. So you can do a lot with this pasuk. One thing we see from the pasuk is makish ishanida leshes re'eu. There's a hekesh. We see there's a comparison, as they like to call it in art scrollies, juxtaposition. Yeah, there is a smichus right next to each other between the eshes ish and the niddah. So what do we learn from there? Ma eshes re'eu hi bebigdoi, hu bebigdoi, vehi bebigda osu. Oh, that needs a lot of explanation. The Gemara assumes here that by Eshes Ish, what about Eshes Ish? Eshes Ish, yeah, what do we say? Eshes Ish, clearly, to be with an Eshes Ish, and I'm wearing my Shabbos suit and tie, and she's wearing her full dress, and we're in the same bed together, that is definitely not okay. Not okay. And so too, since niddah is compared to that, niddah is not okay either. The obvious question of all the Rishonim, who told you? I know it sounds very crazy, but at the end of the day, if you have avamina that a niddah is okay to be with a cloth, could be even with pajamas, is okay, it's enough of a sima, maybe it's also okay. So Rashi says that it's a derivative of yichud. Rashi says there's a big difference between niddah and eshes ish. Niddah, as we all know, you're allowed to be with your wife niddah in the same room in the closed house. Why? Also, she's mamish like a erva. Because we say suga b'sheshanim, because pat v'salo, he was with her once already, at least, if not 2 or more times, because he was with her in the past. It's important to know. That's why chupas niddah, they're not allowed to be together in the same room, because he was never with her. It's more exciting before the first time. Yeah, it's more. Meshe'enken, the niddah, why can he be allowed with your wife niddah? Maybe they'll do something. How do you know? He was with her, and he will be with her. You know, she goes to the mikveh, I don't know, in 2 days, next week, 2 weeks, I don't know. So, the kids are not such a thing, and therefore what? It's allowed. And eshes ish, also midoraisa. Yichud is also midoraisa, eshes ish. Oh, so Rashi learns very interestingly, and the Chachamim explain Rashi, to be in the same bed is equivalent to yichud, even if there's no yichud. It's very hard here in the sugya. Yeah, that's what the Chachamim say. In the Korban Nesanel, Choshva Chachamim. So to be in the same bed is equivalent to yichud. Now we caught the bull. Now we got it. By Eshes Ish, we say what? That to be in the same bed is usher, it's like Yichud. And now by Niddah, we're not, Yichud is okay because we're a special heter. Being in the same bed is worse. It's more than Yichud. Your mom's close together. Maybe they just have pajamas on in the same bed. You're getting very near. So the Chiddush is, yes, it's also just like by Eshes Ish, to be in the same bed is also because it's like yichud, but it's already a derivative of that. Now the issa to be in the same bed, but Eshes Ish stands on its own, and that teaches us for niddah also not to be in the same bed. Tarsus asks on that, but Lamaisa that's Pshat in Rashi. Tarsus says a different thing, and he says Pashut, or is the Tarsus who says that? He says some Rishonim say, yeah. Tarsus says the Hosam Svaru. Look at the third Tarsus. Ma'eshes Re'eu. Tarsus says, you know, Eshes Re'eu is clearly also. He says because it's more B'Yetzer Hara. Pashut, like we were Meramis, yeah. He says Svaru Lesel Tishir so talk for his Gabe Olav B'Yosef. I guess his wife Nida is not so such a new thing for him. The guy already came to the situation to be in the same bed, Eshes Ish. He's not a tzaddik, yes? So it's already more of a Yetzer Hara, the whole thing around it. And therefore, what? For sure, clearly, it's also Eshes Ish. Niddah, maybe yes, maybe no. Comes the Hekesh in Echeskel and says, yes, they're the same. Shatzak and Eshes Ish is also bibigda, for whichever reason. We transfer that to Niddah, also to be also bibigda by Niddah. Right? Although the other factors don't exist in niddah, that's good for the pasuk is telling you against your svara. Get it? In other words, actually says as it's all its svaras. Now the pasuk is telling you leave the svara alone and do compare in that nekuda niddah to Eshes Ish, and she also should be also bigda and bigda. We're not learning you now, but that's the general framework. So bekitzer, it's also. Yeah, don't try it at home. Also to be lamaisa, lochal lamaisa, we say we have separate beds, even more also. Yeah. Upligada of Pedas. Now, this Rav Yosef, yeah, is choylek on Rav Pedas. Why? The Omer Rav Pedas. Now, first we'll see Rav Pedas, and then we'll see why they're choylek. Says Rav Pedas, the only kirva the Torah does not allow you with either Eshes Ish or niddah or any erva is only what? Mamish tashmish. The Isser Torah, Rashi says tashmish mamish. Let me explain what's going on here. This is actually very nogal halacha. It's one of the first things I learned in Hilchas Niddah. The thing is as follows. Says Rav Pedas like this. I want to ask you a question. Survey. What's your opinion? Yeah. Are you allowed to midoraisa? Are you allowed to do chibuk v'nishuk, kissing, hugging, things that are not tashmish, but one level before, one stage before? With a niddah or Eshes Ish, that is a doraisa, darabana, niddah. Is that a chumrah from Bnei Brak? Or what's the doraisa, darabana? Machlokes Rishonim, whatever you say is good. I love you all. It's Machlokes Rishonim, and here's one of the sources. Let me explain. Says Rav Pedas, the Isser doraisa is what mamash tashmish. Therefore, to do, let's say they lie in bed together and they're not dressed or half dressed, which is really, really bad, horrible. Niddah, Eshes Ish, chas v'sholem, can't even imagine, but that's darabanan. Yeah, says Rav Pedas. Rabbanan, yeah, don't look at me. Yeah, I'll show you Rashi now. Therefore, to be with the clothes is allowed because that's too far apart, and he doesn't care about the pasuk in Cheskel because according to him, it doesn't make a difference. Both niddah and Eshes Ish. So for him to be in Eshes Ish close to Tashmish is what the Rabbanon. So to be with her in bed with clothes, as opposed to the whole thing with Yichud, it's a big problem with the Yichud business before. It's complicated here. If we did it biyun, we're not in Iyun now. Yeah. But he doesn't hold of that. No, he breaks the whole thing apart for Pedas. Tashmish doraisa, chibuk nishuk, v'chule is the Rabbanon. So to be in the same bed with the clothes on, that's twice removed, and that's okay. Mashaken Rav Yosef. So how can we explain Rav Yosef? He says no. Master Rav Yosef holds, like some Rishonim hold, that chibuk v'nishuk of niddah and Eshes Ish is doraisa. Yes, there are definitely such Rishonim, and we better believe them. Yeah. And therefore, be with the clothes, it's only one level, the Rabbanon, that's also. Look at Rashi, don't look at Rashi. I want to show you the Rashi, the one before the end, the Pliga. No, the very last Rashi. Gilo Yarayas, Tashmish Mamish, that's Rav Pedas. V'sh'ar kuva, v'afilu kiruv baso, Mamish kiruv baso, chibuk nishuk, very close, with the Rabbanon. See? Yeah. V'hi bebigda, afilu with the Rabbanon, leika lemigzal. When it's both each one of the clothes, that's already twice removed from the Oraisa, like a kind of Xera kind of. That's according to Rav Pedas, that's allowed. And according to Rabbi Yosef, it's not allowed. Don't write at home, not allowed. Yep. Now, Zok the Gemara weiter. Ula, I'm sorry, I'm past time. Yeah, we have a little bit, 2 minutes. Ula, story about Ula. Kihavi osi mibeirav. When Ula came back from yeshiva, have a menashek lulachvose abei chadayu. He would kiss his sisters on the place of the chest, I believe, with the clothes, I hope. But the Maisa would kiss them in the way of chiba. The amrila abei yadayu. and some say he would kiss them on their hands. So again, so Lamaisa sister, the Rambam says, although there is no lichor, we think sister is just platonic and it's all okay. Lamaisa, the Rambam says it's minak tipshus to kiss and hug your sister, even if in the Shulchan Aruch says it too, even though you have no Has v'sholom, you don't think of anything romantic, but Lamaisa, the sister is not allowed. And here, Ula himself would kiss his sisters, even on the hands, even on the chest, whatever that means, and that would be okay for Ula. Upliga didei. Ula himself argued on his own teachings. Ula did not follow his own teachings. The Omar Ula, what did Ula say? Afilu shum kurva osur. Ula said, even though it's just the Rabbanon possibly, to kiss your, wherever you're not allowed to kiss, on the chest, on the hand, any kind of closeness is osur, physical one. Yishum lech lech amri nezira schor schor lecham lo tikra. Famous line, also in the Mitzvah Tzadi Beis. We tell the Nozir who's not allowed to drink wine, go, stay away, steer clear from the kerem, from the vineyard, don't get close to the vineyard. So even though it's possibly only the Rabbanon, it sounds from him, but we tell the person, stay away, don't get near. So how did Ula do it? So why did he do it? Says Tosfos, Ula knew, and then only for Ula only, and from some other Amoraim, the Rabbi Yochanan, Ula, he knew that he can kiss them without thinking of anything, he was on a different level, because it's the Rabbanon. Rabbanon were not goizer for people who are super holy. But that's only for Ula. As we say in the Gemara, Tosfos brings down, Ravada Barava, that's a famous one, in Ksubas Yudzayin, he would, not the piggyback, how do I say, he would have the kala on his shoulders. Like you have a chassan on your shoulders, when you dance at the chasana, right? They pick the chassan shoulders, he would do that for the kala. Yeah, chassan kala, equal. The kala is on his shoulders, kind of, you have a kala on your shoulder? I hope not. Because he would say, for me, the Rabbanon said, are we allowed to do that? So he said, you can only do that if to you she seems like a kishur, like a log of wood. For me, she's like a log of wood. I'm so disconnected from her as anything intimate. Yeah. For me, she's like a piece of wood, like a log of wood, like a plank of wood. That's why I'm allowed. That's obviously only people of very, very high darga, nobody today, nobody this. And because it's the Rabbanon will lechatchila and goizer for people in such level. It's very rare. Usually Rabbanon goizer for everybody, but that's a different story. Okay, we'll stop here. Beseder, tzlach rabba, when we all maintain dusha b'tahara. Okay, shkoyach. Tomorrow, listen, guys. A good news. Tomorrow, I have a meeting, very important one, out of town. But I believe it can be here. But I don't know if it'll be at 9:20 or maybe a few minutes later. I'll have to. I believe we can finish the meeting at around 8, and it can be around 9. I'll cut it slim, but hopefully I'll be here at some point. So don't worry if I'm not here at 9:20. In the shul. Today's only because my wife's not home. So tomorrow 9:20. Hopefully 9:20. Halavai. But if I'm not there by 9:25, 9:20 something, don't be upset with me. Don't throw tomatoes. And if you can wait, I apologize. I really am doing my best for this year to always make it happen. Thank you very, very much for your perseverance and for your understanding. And may we have a good Chodesh, a good Adar Marbim B'Simcha. Thank you to our YouTube viewers. Okay, Shkoyach, thank you very much. And farewell to your father.